straps. We're going to do strap stretch. So one thing to notice before we go up into our strap stretch is I like to have a little riser in underneath the head. So I've just popped half dome here in underneath the head. This just helps me to align the ribs over the pelvis. I'm going to bring my attention first of all to these two little bony bits that jut out of the front of the pelvis, the ASIS, or our headlights. So here, as the pelvis is in neutral, my headlights are shining straight up towards the ceiling. If I was to tip my weight towards my tailbone, headlights are directed slightly down and away from me. And if I was to tuck my pelvis under, then my headlights are kind of directed in this more headward direction. So I want to come and find that neutral space where the headlights are shining up towards the ceiling. Now, in a moment, when I bring my leg into flexion here, hip flexion, a lot of the time when we kind of lose or find that end range in hip flexion, what we can sometimes do to give the appearance of bringing the leg in further is hike that side up. So we're also looking at not allowing this kind of hike of the pelvis to happen, whereas one headlight will come further up towards us and the other further away. So headlights to the ceiling and level. We can then take our strap and just bend. I'm bending my right knee in and I'm going to pop that strap just across the ball of the foot. I'm going to push out into the strap until I find a little bit of tension, straighten the leg here, focus on keeping the pelvis stable as I draw this leg in towards me. If it's comfortable, then I can straighten the opposite leg out along the floor. And I want to imagine that there's a sandbag or something here across the front of my thigh bone, so grounding the back of the leg down to the floor. If my pelvis was to tuck under, you'd see that I kind of get this airspace at the back of the leg. So I'm thinking of grounding down through the left leg, pelvis level, and then I have one piece of the strap in either hand. So I'm just going to begin here with some plantar flexion. That's where we point the foot up towards the ceiling. And then dorsiflexion, where I'm drawing the front of the foot back down towards the front of the shin bone. So I'm going to work with the breath here. So as I breathe in, I'm pointing the toes up. And as I breathe out, I'm drawing the front of the foot back down into this dorsiflexion. So just a little bit of mobilization here at the ankle. As I draw the foot down, I can think of lengthening the heel bone up at the same time. So this is what we'll do first of all. The second piece then that we'll do, where we'll invert and evert the foot. So as I turn the whole sole of the foot in here, this is a full foot inversion, and then I'm going to try and turn the opposite way, which is eversion. So sometimes when we are lacking this motion a little bit, you'll see people trying to get it by rotating the actual leg bones themselves. So we want to keep the leg bones steady, and this motion here then coming from the ankle. As we invert, as I turn the sole of the foot, hopefully you can see this towards the camera, and then away from the camera. Now I'm going to turn the sole of the foot towards you guys. Then I'm going to push back up through the forefoot, through the ball of the big toe. So I'm actually getting a counter twist in the foot between the rear and the forefoot, and then I draw the front of the foot down towards the front of the shin. This really increases the stretch for me down through the back line of the leg, through the calf muscles especially. So I'm just going to hold it here. I'm thinking of sitting down into this right hip so that I'm not hiking it up. And then I can hold on to both bits of the strap, and I can begin to just play with a little bit of leg motion then, where I'm drawing the leg just a little bit across towards the midline and then away. Headlights to the ceiling all the time. If I find that the pelvis is kind of rolling with me, then I'm no longer really getting that motion in the hip joint anymore. So headlights to the ceiling, pelvis steady, and I can just begin just this little bit of motion across and back through the leg. Once you've done this on one side, you can go and explore the same thing on the opposite side. Thanks, guys.